So I really didn't want to do a video on this, but it just has to be said. And Snoop Dogg was on the Breakfast Club, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago, and basically said that the discussion came up of Eminem being in the top 10 of all-time rappers. And Snoop Dogg said he's not, he don't believe that Eminem is top 10 all-time rapper, and that caused a lot of controversy. And I think Snoop, as well as Eminem, has been um, voicing their concerns about one another on social media, and this thing has ignited into something big. I mean, here we are, weeks after that interview, and we're still talking about it. And before I begin giving you guys my opinion, I first like to state that, Snoop Dogg is entitled to his opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But how much substance in their opinion is accurate? And do they have the expertise or experience to make such an outlandish opinion Snoop Dogg has demonstrated about Eminem not being top 10 rapper of all time? Top 10. We're not talking about top 5 or the best rapper of all time. Eminem can't crack the top 10. Now, I have heard this argument spewed to other guys, and I'm gonna give you guys why I feel like Joe Budden talked about this years ago, talking about that Eminem is not the best rapper, and he even proclaimed himself a better rapper than Eminem. Joe Budden, Mr. Pump, 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 Mr. One Hit Wonder. Joe Budden, okay? And we all know how Joe Budden, rides and rocks, okay? He just says things to unite a spark to get everybody to gravitate to his platform. Charlemagne the God has been talking about this years, about Eminem not being the best rapper in his opinion on the Breakfast Club, even though he's not basing any substance to his argument. But to me, it's one thing like, when you talk about radio hosts, personalities, influencers, or just everyday people like you and I giving our opinion on best rapper of all time, because you really don't really hold a lot of substance to those individuals because, look, they haven't been in the trenches, okay? They never stepped into a studio. They never have written a lyric in their life. I haven't. And, you're coming with the opinion of Eminem not being in the top 10 of best rapper of all time. It's one thing if in that arena of those individuals saying that, you really don't put any a lot of substance to it. It's just they're really basing their facts on emotion, okay, or what they like, okay. But it's another thing when you have artists critiquing that you're not the best rapper. You're not even in the top 10 of best rappers of all time. All right. And before I get into Snoop Dogg, I first like to state this. In the early stages of Snoop Dogg, Snoop used to write his own work, and he wrote some hellified songs. All right. And then later, as his career, went on, he had other people writing for him. And I feel like when you start going down that path, then you give up a lot, in my opinion, as far as, do you even consider that artist good at their craft? All right. I think Drake is great. I don't have no issues with Drake. I know Drake has written songs in the past, and I'm not, throwing any salt in his game. He's still a great artist, but if Drake would ever get on the mic and say, well, I feel like X, Y, and Z is not the best rapper, but you don't write I feel like as an artist, writing your own content is highly important. It's like an artist painting painting their own paintings or art sculptures. All right? Instead of having someone else do it for you. I think that if I feel like there's not a lot of rappers out there. It's really a select few that write their own content. The majority of a lot of these rappers, they follow the train, they follow the wave of, I'm just going to get someone else to write my stuff. I feel like that's very important if you want to be considered top 10 rapper of all time. You have to be able to write your own content. All right? Otherwise, you're not even in the discussion, in my opinion. All right. Now, there's another thing I like to say is, and I've done this. I've done videos like this in the past. There's a difference between studio rappers and actual rappers that can come up with hooks, lyrics straight from the dome, write them down, and record them in the studio versus someone who has to be in a mood. Maybe some other people are in the studio helping them out with their lyrics. It's okay. The hook, I really not too okay. I don't care about the hook. If you have someone writing the hook or creating the hook, that's one thing. But you have to know how to write. All right, and your penmanship, the way how you connect words. I think that's another trait as far as, is this guy the best rapper or even a great rapper? And Eminem has demonstrated that over the course of decades. Now, Snoop Dogg did say Eminem's really a creation of Dr. Dre. And who hasn't? Okay? Look at the artists that have been around Dr. Dre. Okay, Dr. Dre had MC Ren, had Ice Cube, had Eazy-E. All three of those guys are phenomenal rappers. All right. Then he moved and he connected with Snoop Dogg, Tupac, the Dogg Pound. I mean, that is a great roster of rappers when he was in his Death Row days. And then when he formed his own label, he was around people such as The Game and Eminem. The guy has been around a lot of phenomenal talent. Can Dr. Dre just get anybody off the street and make a platinum hit? Possible. But if you look at his resume, a lot of his greater hits, he's been around a lot of talented, unique type of individuals. Okay, let's stop getting it twisted. Okay, Exhibit is another prime example of Dr. Dre. Okay. Oh, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize. This video is gonna be long. I apologize. All right. So, and if you're gonna use that argument, Snoop, then you should use it on yourself as well, because your biggest success has been around Dr. Dre. Has Snoop created hits outside, away from Dr. Dre? Yes. Okay. But when you compare his catalog to Eminem's catalog and you just look at the substance of the lyrics themselves, there's no question Eminem's lyrics are better, superior than Snoop Dogg's. Okay? I feel like there's another equation why there's a lot of guys that really not going to give Eminem any type of credit as far as being the greatest rapper of all time in the top 10. I feel like a lot of it is envy, jealousy, But I feel like the most common trait, and this is coming from a black man, and sad to say, we really don't really want to give credit to any other nationality that's doing well or doing great in a craft that we dominate. Okay? It took Larry Bird forever to get credit from a lot of black fans of the NBA. And then people just had to okay, I give up. I don't have no more excuses. Just give it to him. All right? Just give it to him wins. All right? The same thing goes with boxing. The same thing goes with basketball. The same thing goes with hip-hop. When it comes to rap and hip-hop, we as African Americans have been dominating that craft for decades, all right? And just the mere fact that someone that's, not of our race, that's very successful in a category that we have been dominating like forever, it's simply, I can understand the sympathy that some people that, still holding on to he's not great. But I feel like a lot of it is personal, and a lot of it is we just can't give it to him because let's just face it, let's just call a spade a spade. He's a white rapper. All right? And if you look at white rappers over the course of years, when you look at Vanilla Ice, when you look at, I feel like in this era it's more acceptable, but in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was, it was extremely hard for a white rapper to make it in a field that's dominated by African Americans. You have to be extraordinary good, and extraordinary lucky, and extraordinary have connections. And Eminem, if he was like on any other label or any other platform, we would never see the talent that he has demonstrated on songs. And I feel like one of the big credits why people give him a pass is he's been connected to Dr. Dre. And Dr. Dre is like the godfather of hip hop. Everybody respects Dr. Dre's ear and respects Dr. Dre's craft. By the way, he's in the hospital. I wish him well, wish him good luck. Hope everything's fine. I haven't heard anything, as far as, it being worse. But shout out to Dr. Dre. Hope he's doing fine. But I think a lot of people, and I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate with what I'm about to say, but, let's just be real, okay? Let's stop being politically correct. Let's just stop being shock of being awe. Let's just call a spade a spade. Look, Eminem, for him, for a white rapper such as himself to dominate in a field that's been dominated by African Americans, where you have more African Americans in journalism that covers and critiques hip hop, all right? Your peers, your opposition, your rivals, the majority of them are going to be African American, okay? When you look at producers, DJs, critics, the majority of them that's in the field of hip hop is going to be African American, all right? For him to have his stuff out there in a dominated category, that wherever you go, there's African Americans there that can dictate what artist is going to rise and which artist is going to fall. For him to strive through all that, persevere through all that, and still write rhymes today. I mean, this guy is still making music today. He really has nothing left to prove. Okay, he's already extraordinary wealthy. There's no reason why, but that just shows how much love he has for the craft. And I think a lot of people don't give him credit for that either. You know, other people who have been very successful in hip hop, they stopped making music. I wonder why people don't question them as well. Maybe they just did not have the heart for it. Maybe they're not in love with making music. This man is in love in making music. I get a strange feeling that 10 years from now, he's still going to be making music. Because that's all he thoroughly enjoys doing that. And I feel like that's another plus why he should be top 10 rapper of all time. My opinion, he's in the top 5. My opinion, he's in the top 5. But I can understand if people want to knock him down to, well, he's not in the top 5, but he's definitely in the top 10. If you want to say that, that's cool too. All right? He's in a sort of the same boat as a LeBron James. You know, people don't want to give respect where respect is due. I think LeBron James has done a lot of extraordinary things, has been very successful on and off the court. But when you start comparing him, just like Eminem, when you start comparing Eminem to a Jay-Z, or to a Lil Wayne, or to a Rakim, or to a KRS-One, or to a, you know, and when you start comparing him to other artists and saying, is he better than that artist? Okay, now you may have some points about other artists, all right, that I just mentioned. I think easily, hands down, Eminem is better, way better than Joe Budden. I mean, Joe Budden is not even in the top 20, all right? Even though there have been, on social media, people made this list of the hottest MCs, and Joe Budden, I think he was in the top 10. And I feel like a lot of people resonate to that more so because Joe Budden still has a podcast. Joe Budden's name has been out there, but before the podcast, what was Joe Budden doing? He was a struggling artist who was, you know, just jumping on anything to make a quick buck. He was on reality shows. A lot of people seem to forget about that, right? He was doing radio. A lot of people seem to forget about that. And a lot of people seem to forget that he wasn't really very successful as an artist, okay? He does not have the hardware to demonstrate that he's the best artist, or there was a time where he was or were the best artist. He does not have those critiques. He does not have that hardware. And a lot of people seem to forget about that. A lot of people look at Joe Budden now versus Joe Budden 15, 20 years ago. And that's the point I'm making. I mean, what you have done in the past should be very beneficial to determine whether or not you're good or not. You look at the whole resume, the whole enchilada, the whole history of someone to determine whether or not they are elite. And clearly Eminem is. And I just don't, you know, I said a lot of stuff in the video that I can point to saying, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But I think it's more so jealous and envy. And they just don't want to give it to him. They just do not want to give it to him. They don't want to give the man his flowers while he's still alive. Now, I'm not wishing death on anybody, but I think people would be more sympathetic if, you know, he was no longer on this planet. And then maybe people start saying, well, yeah, he was up there, guys. He was easily the top 10 rapper of all time. But, you know, they do that for Notorious B.I.G. They do that for Tupac. I think Tupac was an extraordinary rapper. Okay. But was he the best rapper? maybe in his era of the years where he dominated, same as Notorious B.I.G. But it are those two individuals the best rappers of all time compared to all the other artists that's been in and what has been in the music field? They're in the top 10. I would put either one of them in the top 5 with no problem. And I can understand why people would put them, well, they're not in the top 5, but they're definitely in the top 10. And I feel like Snoop, I don't know what's going on with Snoop. But to me, I just feel like he's the wrong person. If you have an agenda on not giving it to Eminem, I just think this is a bad. I think you got the wrong person to deliver your message. If Tupac was still here, he would say Eminem is clearly better. Same way as Notorious B.I.G. I think a lot of the peers who are considered to be top 10 rappers of all time has already voiced their opinions that, Eminem is, he's up there. Okay. Even Lil Wayne even said, yeah, he's up there. So I don't have no idea why Snoop, maybe he was smoking and it sort of cloud his judgment. But to me, I feel like Snoop is the wrong person to dictate or judge whether or not a person should be, Eminem should be even in the top 10. And like I said in the beginning of this video, everyone is entitled to their opinion, including Snoop Dogg. Okay? But it's one thing to have an opinion, but it's another thing to allow your opinion to be factual. And that's where me and Snoop would, break bread. I can't get jiggy with this. All right. It just doesn't make any sense. That's like someone saying Snoop wasn't an influencer of West Coast hip hop, of West Coast rap. Okay. He's not even in the top 10 as far as, putting West Coast on the map. Someone would say that, I would say you're crazy, dog. I mean, what have you been smoking? All right. So I just think we should just start giving flowers to the people while they're still here. And this is a classic example of that. And really don't do videos about this. I used to do it on my older channel. And I know people are going to have comments. Just comment below if you think. Give me your opinion. I know a lot of people are going to side with Snoop Dogg. Okay, and I can understand that. And I can really understand why you would side with Snoop Dogg. And a lot of people are going to say, I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. Just comment down below. I'll try to comment back, or I will just, give it a thumbs up or whatever, or a thumbs down, whatever. Yeah, but that's just my opinion on it. I think it's just ludicrous. It's just, and who you're going to replace Eminem off the top 10? Who's gonna take his spot? I mean, that Breakfast Club interview, he really didn't go into, well, who's better than Eminem? He just talked about and state why he feels like Eminem is not the best rapper of all. And then he sort of contradicted himself saying, well, he's a creation of Dr. Dre. Well, everybody was a creation of Dr. Dre. Okay, even you, my friend. A lot of the West Coast influence is a creation of Dr. Dre. Okay? The Game, Kenneth Lamar, even today's West Coast hip hop is an influence that they've been influenced by Dr. Dre. Artists that Dr. Dre has never produced are influenced by Dr. Dre. Okay? Dr. Dre has had his hands on a lot of artists from the past, the present, and yeah, even in the future. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff Snoop was talking about Okay, I can go along with it, but you're really talking about yourself, my guy. And you're also talking about a lot of other people. So are you going to discredit a Jay-Z, a Lil Wayne, Tupac? I mean, it's just, I mean, when you start spiraling into why you feel like Eminem is not the top 10 rapper of all time, and you start making these examples, and really none of these examples are an indictment, a clear indictment that Eminem's not the top rapper of all time. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what Snoop was thinking about. But, it just goes to show, like I said in the beginning, I feel like the ones you need to really pay homage to as far as critiquing whether X, Y, and Z is not the best, I feel like it's the people that put a lot of work in that field, that put a lot of heart and soul in that field, that has the hardware, the penmanship to tell you whether or not who's good and who's bad. All right. And even though Snoop has some hardware, and in the past, he has wrote he has wrote his own creations, some of his own creations, but the majority of Snoop Dogg's work has been done by other people writing for him. And I think, if you have no issue with that, I don't have no problem with it. But to me, when you start going into another field as judging others out there about their lyrics, about their content, about their products, and the majority of your content has been created by someone else, and you feel like your criticism of that artist, you have the right to criticize that artist, come on, dog. Come on. Come on, Snoop. Come on. All right, so that's it. I'm done. I will talk to you guys later. Deuces.